Hi guys, might as well show you this. This is something I've just unboxed. I don't do unboxing videos normally, but I was kind of chuffed with this. This is the biggest purchase I've ever made as far as the model building is concerned. If you've been watching my videos for the last, I don't know, 4 years, 3-4 years, I've been doing quite a lot of model builds. This sort of thing up here with LED lighting effects in and that sort of stuff, and a bit of airbrushing. Now, I've only ever really had a very cheap and nasty airbrush and compressor. It was just a very quick get up and running thing, probably about 50 quid from hobby stores. It did its job in the early days, but just recently it gave up the ghost. The compressor's just not powerful enough. I use the I can't think what the name is. The Vallejo paints, which you're supposed to be able to put in an air gun or in an airbrush without thinning, but there wasn't a chance with my old one. It had to be really thinned down, and then sometimes you had to thin it down so much that the paint was really difficult to get a nice finish on. So anyway, that's gone, and did a little bit of homework and got some advice, and this is what I've just unboxed. So it's the Iwata Studio series. So it's the new compressor. It's so quiet, I love it. I'm just going to turn it on. So it just comes on to get the pressure up, and it's very simple. Just got a little valve here to set the pressure I want. I've got it set at 30. All you do, pull up and turn one way or the other to lower it. That's down to about 20. I'll take it back up to about 30. There we go. And then just pop it back down again, and it won't move. And beautiful airbrush. I almost don't want to use it. It's too nice. It's the Iwata Eclipse CS. Really nice big cup there for the paint. Dual action. So press down for the release of the air and pull back for the release of the paint. And the compressor, as you can hear, it only pops on when it's required and then turns off as soon as it's not. And it's so lovely, I just don't want to use it. Well, I do want to use it, I can't wait to use it, but you know what I mean. It's so lovely and new and really nicely put together that I don't want to mess it up. So yeah, anyway, a few of you guys made some comments on the last video when I told you what I was going to buy, and all of the comments were, yeah, good choice, excellent one to get. A few of you said that you'd been using them for a while and really loved them, so thanks for that. Gave me a bit of confidence to go and order one, and there we go. So I just thought I'd show you. So hopefully now the painting can go up a bit of a level now, because that was one of the things I wasn't so pleased with. The electronics and the lighting was great, but the painting I always wished I could have done a bit better with. So I'm hoping with this I can really bring that up a scale now, and with a larger cup like that, quite a good sized cup, it'll be alright for doing one day. Obviously I'm going to be finishing off the Falcon here, and you know, that might have a whole surface respray, I'm not sure, so we'll see. But yeah, looking forward to using it, but almost don't want to get it dirty. Anyway, I'll catch up with you next time. There's going to be more Voyager stuff coming. Hi again, back on Voyager with these wretched nacelles. If you saw in the last video, you saw I was having fun and games doing these, just trying to get so much lighting in them, and I decided that the 3mm LED at the back sticking up out and at a bit of a funny angle sort of from the back there, it was just didn't look right. So that's 2 attempts now. It didn't look right. So what I've done is, where there was a hole, there is now no holes. I've filled and sanded all the holes. That one needs a little bit more work, but basically they're filled again, and I'm going to have another go, and this time I'm going to try something slightly different. The problem I had before was I was trying to get 6 of the blue LEDs on the tape with 2 red LEDs up front for the beside collectors, and another 2 LEDs at the back for the nav lights. But the nav lights, the LEDs are too big, way out of scale. They'd be like, I don't know, what would they'd be like? They'd be like the size of a living room or something, if it were in scale. So what I've decided to do is, instead of having 6 blue LEDs in the centre, I'm going to try it with 3, because the window is actually not as long as it is on the Enterprise D. It's a bit shorter on Voyager. So I'm going to have 3 compartments. I'm going to have one in the centre, which is going to be blue for the warp coils. I'm going to then have more room up front to do the two LEDs that are doing the beside collectors, like so, which is going to give me a lot more room to play with back here. And what I'm thinking of doing this time is I'm going to build a little support wall, if you like, along here, and I'm going to have a completely isolated compartment just with a hole through for the wire. So we'll have obviously green in one, red in the other. So I'm just going to light the whole of the back, and then I'm going to do a 1mm hole with some fibre optic, and I'm going to melt the end of the fibre optic over, like I did in, if you saw the X-Wing build I did, the method I used to do R2-D2's lights on that tiny little head. It was only sort of that wide, and I managed to get 1, 2, 3, 4 lights in there using that method. So I'll explain more as I go, but that's the plan. So that what you saw in the last video is all gone. It just wasn't good enough. So let's have another crack at it, see if we can do a better job. This is another redesign of the nacelles, but I think I've got it this time. I think I'm quite happy with it now. So what I've done is I've got less of the blue in the middle. It's still quite enough to give a blue effect over the whole nacelle. One larger red LED at the front, which seems okay. And what I've done at the back is I've got a much neater nav light. The way I'll show you how I've done that, but basically it's one green LED in the back. I'm going to make some little partition walls of, so that we don't have colour bleeding from one compartment to the other. So it just wants to be blue in the middle, green at the back there, and red at the front. And what I've done is effectively just made up a little tiny, let's see if I can zoom right in, the little bulb part of it. Woo. See how I can, there we go. So the little bulb part is a little tiny piece of fibre optic which has been heated and melted over into a little dome shape. So it's got a bit of a 3D sort of feel to it. It's very tiny, as you can see, but it means that you can actually see it from behind or from beside, whereas if it was just a hole, obviously you wouldn't. The original LEDs I had were far too big. This, I don't know if I can even zoom in on it on my hand. That's it. It's like a little mushroom shape. I just melted the end over and make a little bulb, basically. Let's put it in there. Yeah, right, it's in my it's in there, so I don't lose it. So yeah, so that's basically it. So it's just a little tiny 1mm hole with some 1mm fibre optic through it, with a little bit of a bulb melted onto the end there. And if you want to look inside, that's much neater than it was before. So just one LED instead of trying to fit 2 in there. This one's a bit bigger, but it's in the middle, so it lights it up nicely evenly either side. 3 blue LEDs in the middle, and then the green at the back. And what I'm going to do, the plan is, I'm going to build a little wall in the back here to keep the green behind. If you can imagine a little compartment wall in there, which is just going to, and I'll do the same up front actually, to keep all the red up front, and so we don't get any colour bleeding into the next compartment. So that's the plan, and so far it looks like it's going to be a lot better. So, and I've still only got one wire that needs to come out and go through the pylon support. Sorry, the nacelle pylon. Instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 4 or 5 wires coming through, I can just do it with one this way. So that's it. So I'll do a little bit more. I'll do the other one, and then we'll start to build those inside walls, and hopefully that's going to work much better now. Hey guys, just a little update on Voyager. Finally got these nacelles to a point where I'm actually happy with them. If you were watching the earlier videos, you'll see that I wasn't happy with the nav lights. They're either too big, or so I was using 3mm LEDs and they just look too big. So I've got this at the moment. So the front end is looking quite good with the hydrogen collectors, or the facade collectors as they call them. The blue glow's looking quite good for the warp field. And then I've now got much smaller little nav lights. I'm going to put some little lenses, they're just holes at the moment, and ignore where you see the green and the red showing through the back. That's only because they're not sealed down yet. Once they're sealed down you won't see that. But I think that's finally going to look okay, and I think the nav lights are finally in scale. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a little bit of fibre optic, just melt the end over, make a little miniature bulb out of it. And the way I've done that, I'll just throw the big light on and show you what's inside. Basically the answer was just to simplify it. So just got one large red LED at the front, a strip of 3 of the SMDs instead of 6, which leaves me room for a whole different compartment at the back end. Red for port, obviously green for starboard, and I've just made up some little inner bulkheads to separate the light so that it doesn't bleed into the wrong compartment. So once the top's on, I don't know if you can see that on the camera's not very good with these lights, but basically it's keeping all the green in that bit and the blue in this bit, and it just keeps the light where it's supposed to be, and it doesn't all bleed into the next section. But it'll look better obviously once I've got the rest of it together. Okay, so that's what we've got under the cover, as it were. Basically what I've done is I've attached the bottom half of each nacelle to its pylon, and I've got inside the impulse engine, I've got a red LED, and I've sort of encased it in hot glue, which acts as a really good diffuser actually. I'm surprised how well that's worked. So we've got 4 wires coming out of each at the moment. So you've got the 2 wires that go to the outer nacelle, they do the nav light, the warp bit and the collector, and then the second set is going to the impulse engines, which is the bit in the little vent in the centre there. Let's see if I can do this with one hand and show you how it's looking. No, it's going to be too much of a... Oh, no, we might be able to do it. Might be able to do it. Just about. Come on. There we go. There we have it. So we've got the red for the facade collector, we've got the blue for the middle, we've got the red which is just going to shine through at the back, but it's only going to shine through a little hole which I'm going to put a fibre optic lens on later on. But that's the bit I'm quite pleased with, is that impulse engine. I'm quite pleased with that. Looks alright. Let's turn the big light out and see what it's like. Hey. Oh, and it's moved. Come on, stay in there. There we go. So yeah, impulse engine. Not too shabby. So yeah, and then that's what you'll see for the nav lights at the back. It'll just be a little nice, tiny little one now, but I'll do a little fibre optic lens, which will make it look a lot better. So right then, before I go and fall over, let's get some lights back on. So there we go. Sorry it took a little while to get there and a few different attempts. It was driving me nuts at one point, but I think I'm finally happy with the result, and so I'm going to just finish those off. I think the thing to do now, I just want to hot glue the LED tape down so it doesn't lift off later on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint very carefully, but with just brush paint, everything inside white, because when the side bits go on, because there's these bits to do, and yet these are the clear parts. So that's going to be the window that goes on the side. As you can see, it's going to diffuse the light, but not very well. So I might have to, I'll probably paint the inside of that. As an old trick, you can paint the inside of this with lacquer, with a matte coat or a dull coat, and that sort of acts as a diffuser, makes it look a little bit like greaseproof paper. Or the other way of doing it is just white paint, actually, a very, very fine mist. I don't know if blue paint would do the same thing, I suppose it would, but just a very, very fine mist of paint on the inside. So we'll see. The other thing I'm considering doing is I noticed by accident earlier on when I did the impulse engines that instead of seeing one LED, you see almost like a big square, and that's the hot glue acting as a diffuser. So the other option is maybe just put a bead of hot glue down over the top. I don't know, but that's a bit risky, because if it goes wrong and you have to rip it off again, then it's probably going to do some damage, so I might resist on that one. Okay, I hope I'm not going to regret this. I decided to go ahead and paint over the circuit board, just leaving the LEDs unpainted, so I'm going to let that dry before I put any power near it, because obviously it's water-based paint. I don't want it to short out, but when it's dry I'm hoping that I'll get away with that and it'll be alright. So yeah, watch this space. May have made a huge mistake, but let's see. It will help it would help the light be dispersed around there and diffused around the inside, I think, because all that white will just pick up the blue and reflect it around, so it should look good. I just hope it hasn't shorted anything. We'll soon find out. Okay, we're back on the nacelles and the nacelle pylons, and fortunately the decision to paint the circuit board white to get the most of the reflection in there has paid off. Everything still works, which I'm really quite glad about. So that's that one. I shall try the other one as well, but I'm pretty sure they're both going to be okay, thankfully. I'll just change them over and we'll try the other one. Yeah, that's that's the port one, obviously, because it's got the red nav light at the back. And what I've been doing is I've been building up this little, it's not very neat actually, but it's doing the job nicely. I'm building up this little wall at the front and back, a little bulkhead wall to partition off the lights so that we don't get any blue or green, blue or red or green coming out of the what should be the blue bit. And I've done a corresponding bulkhead or half bulkhead in the tops as well as the bottoms, so when you put them together it all meets up quite nicely and completely blocks all the colours and holds the colours where they're supposed to be. I'm gonna just paint this. This is tulip, this black stuff, because it's sort of like somewhere in between paint and putty, really. You can build it up sort of 3D. So I'm going to paint that all white, so when you're looking through the clear plastic sides you won't really see anything. You should just see, well, nothing too obvious when the lights are off, and when they're on it should all be hopefully a nice even glowing blue. So so that's it. I think that's it for today. It's getting a bit cold and it's getting dark. It's getting a bit chilly out here as well, so I'm going to head on in, but that's it for today. We'll carry on tomorrow and see if we can get a bit more of these sorted out, and then we can move in to the rear. We've got the observation deck at the back of the shuttle bay here. That needs to be lit white, and again there's more nav lights to go in there, top and bottom, so that's going to be the next little challenge, so we'll have a little look at that tomorrow. Anyway, we're getting there. See you next time. Hi guys, time for another update on the Voyager. Sorry I've not been doing much on the builds the last couple of weeks. Been trying to deal with a few things, so trying to get back on it now. Really must get Voyager finished, so I'm going to really concentrate on that and make some progress. It's been a nightmare actually. The nacelles have just been, I decided you can do them very simply. You can just light the blue bit and the red bit at the front, and it's very simple. But if you want to put the navigation lights in and the impulse engines, which are this sort of grid-like bit here, it becomes a lot more complicated. And what I've got inside them at the moment, effectively, is the worst mistake I made is, I don't know if you remember, I had numerous attempts, versions of nav lights roughly here where my finger is. Let's see if I can point out a bit better. Just there, I had some nav lights quite near the back, because that's where they are on most Federation starships. Not on Voyager. They're right further forward. They're almost 10mm further in, more than that, 15mm further in on this bit. And one guy out there, I can't remember his name, but he did try to tell me, and I misunderstood. I thought he just meant I had them two back here and they should have been a bit further in here. What I didn't realise is he meant they should have been actually on this raised bit, and I went back and looked at some videos, and sure enough, that's when I realised, and that's when I realised what he meant. I didn't realise at the time what he meant by that. So whoever you are, if you're watching this, good call. Sorry I didn't cotton on straight away. I was a bit slow on the uptake on that one, but I realised in the end. So, but the problem is the nav lights are now inside the warp field lens windows, whatever you want to call them, these bits here. So before I had the lights coming up to here for the blue, and then the nav lights behind it, no problem. Well, not too much of a problem. But the nav lights are way forward, so the nav lights are inside the blue area effectively. And what that means is I've had to mount the light up in there and light block it and paint it as well. So when it's on, you don't see any of the green light in this case coming back inside. I also changed the LEDs. I've gone from the 3mm to the tiny 1.8mm. So you basically just got that little teeny tiny bit on the back, if I can get that to focus. So I'm really just trying to use that tiny little bit of it there. And this is what that looks like. Thankfully, I think it's alright. So still got the red, obviously it's not glued down yet, so I've still got gaps down the side. We've got the blue. This camera really is interesting because it's making that look very red. Doesn't look like that in real life. How interesting. And then we've got the reds at the back, so we've got the top one and we've got the bottom one, and my leads are shorting out. So yeah, so that's basically what we've got now. I use myself to insulate that. So yeah, so that's the bottom one. So you can just see them at an angle. They're just protruding ever so slightly. They're about the right scale now, I think, and the green one's very similar. So I think I finally got it. I'm really intrigued as to why that looks so purple on the camera. Hold on, let me just kill the big lights. That's a better representation. Yeah, that's more like what I see in real life. Red and then blue past the two reds, which is as it should be. But for some reason in the electric light, that looked really purple. It looked like the red and the blue was mixing. How bizarre. Just in there, that really looks like it's mixing, but it's not. Very strange. Okay. So the plan today is, I think because I've now got all the clear perspex glued in at the collectors here and around the sides. So today's mission, should I choose to accept it, is to take the paint off this outer edge, glue those down and clamp them up and seal those nacelles once and for all. And will I be glad to see the end of them? I really will. This is the worst bit of any model I've done for a long time. So yeah, you should actually also be able to see, if I can get this right, I should be able to see just a little bit of red up inside there as well. Yeah, we can. There's a little bit of red up inside there. But you see, oops, sorry, dropping the camera. But you see most of the red there for the impulse engines. So, okay, so this could finally be the end of the nacelles. Thank goodness. Okay, it's a fairly momentous and a long-awaited for moment, but the nacelles are finally sealed. So I'm going to give those the rest of the day. Let them glue properly and then tidy up the seams and check them, make sure they still work. I have tested them since I've glued them up and they're okay, so let's just hope nothing weird happens, bearing in mind how many times I've rebuilt these things. Anyway, there we go. So I'm just using clothes pegs and model clamps just to hold them together as they glue. And what I did do is, if you're doing this kind of model, use two different glues. I've used the polystyrene cement where it's plastic on plastic, but where it's plastic on the clear, I've used the canopy glue so that it doesn't eat into the plastic. So hopefully that will look okay. So yeah, job done for now. So I'll be back to check on those a bit later on. Hi guys, just another update on Voyager and the dreaded nacelles. I've finally got them sealed up and they're working, so just puttying up the seams at the moment and be able to finally move on, but at least we've finally got to this stage. So seems not too bad actually. It's just a little bit of putty work around the edge, A little bit on, I think it's on this one around the front where the plastic was ever so slightly warped just here, so just sort of sanded and filled it in, and that's going to be fine. So I'm going to let those dry, and hopefully by the end of the day I'll get those done, and move on to the shuttle bay properly this time. So anyway, I think you've probably had more than enough of the nacelles, I know I have, so let's cut this video here, and the next one will be me moving on to the next bit. Bye for now.